On a fateful night in October 1904, the calm waters of the North Sea turned into a scene of chaos and tragedy. I invite you to step into the shadows of history and explore the shocking events that unfolded on Dogger Bank, a mistake so catastrophic it nearly plunged the world into war. The night was dark, the fog thick, and the tension palpable. On a fateful October evening in 1904, the calm waters of the North Sea were about to experience a tragedy that would reverberate across the globe. The Imperial Russian Navy, under the command of Admiral Zinovy Rozhistvensky, was sailing through a part of the North Sea known as Dogger Bank, a well-known fishing area. The fleet was on a mission to reinforce the Pacific Squadron stationed at Port Arthur in China, but what followed would be a mistake so grave that it nearly led to war with the United Kingdom. The Russian Baltic Fleet was a formidable force, composed of numerous warships, including battleships, cruisers, and destroyers. They were on high alert, their nerves frayed by the ongoing Russo-Japanese War and the constant threat of Japanese torpedo boats. The day before, the fleet had already reported sighting what they believed to be Japanese cruisers and balloons, increasing their paranoia. As the fleet approached Dogger Bank, the night was shrouded in darkness and fog, creating a perfect storm of uncertainty and fear. At around midnight, a Russian lookout reported seeing small vessels nearby. In the thick fog, the already spooked and inexperienced Russian crews jumped to conclusions, believing these vessels to be Japanese torpedo boats. The tension was high, and the order to prepare for an imminent attack was swiftly given. What happened next would be a series of catastrophic missteps, leading to the tragic Dogger Bank incident. The Russian fleet opened fire on the civilian vessels, and in the chaos, they even managed to shoot at their own cruiser, the Aurora. The Crane, a British trawler, was sunk, and its captain and boatswain lost their lives. At least 4 other trawlers, including the Mino, Malmain, and Snipe, were damaged, and 6 fishermen were injured, with 1 mortally wounded and dying several months later. The Russian fleet, in its panicked state, failed to provide any assistance to the survivors, further exacerbating the situation. The incident lasted for about 20 minutes, with the Russians firing sporadically throughout. Eventually, the realization dawned on the admiral that the enemy was not firing back, and he called for a ceasefire. It was only then that the sailors fully grasped the magnitude of their mistake. The Russian fleet, shaken and embarrassed, skulked away, leaving the beleaguered fishermen to fend for themselves. The Dogger Bank incident caused an international outcry, particularly in Britain, where the press was swift to label the Russians as pirates. The Times, one of the most influential newspapers of the time, was particularly scathing, stating, "It is almost inconceivable that any men calling themselves seamen, however frightened they might be, could spend 20 minutes bombarding a fleet of fishing boats without discovering the nature of their target." The British public was outraged, and the government demanded an immediate explanation and compensation. The Royal Navy responded with force, ordering 28 of its battleships to prepare for action and its cruiser squadrons to shadow the Russian fleet. The two powers were on the brink of war, and the situation was further complicated by the Anglo-Japanese alliance. In a desperate bid to calm the stormy waters, Russia issued a swift apology and agreed to an international investigation. On November 25, 1904, the two parties signed a joint agreement, allowing an international commission based on the Hague Convention to handle the incident. The commission ultimately concluded that the Russian fleet had acted recklessly and without proper cause, but it also made it clear that the incident should not be considered an act of war. Russia agreed to pay £66,000, equivalent to millions today, in compensation to the British fishermen and their families. While the immediate crisis was averted, the incident left a lasting strain on relations between Russia and Britain, and it served as a stark reminder of the precarious nature of international diplomacy in the early 20th century. At the heart of the Dogger Bank incident was a combination of heightened paranoia, poor training, and technological limitations. The Russo-Japanese War had already seen significant losses for Russia, contributing to a sense of desperation and hypervigilance. Russian intelligence had warned the fleet about enemy activity in the region, and the constant fear of torpedo boat attacks had left the sailors and commanders on edge. The admiral's decision to speed through the area and the poor training of the inexperienced crew further compounded the problem. Communication failures within the fleet also played a critical role. Orders were given and executed without thorough verification, and the chaotic environment on board prevented clear communication. The Russian command structure allowed Admiral Rozhistvensky's decision to go unchallenged, leading to a series of fatal mistakes. The primitive radar and signaling systems of the time were inadequate for distinguishing between friendly and enemy vessels, especially in the dark and foggy conditions of the North Sea. This catastrophic mistake not only left Russia with egg on its face, but also had long-term consequences. The Dogger Bank incident delayed the Baltic Fleet's arrival in the Far East, contributing to its eventual defeat by the Japanese at the Battle of Tsushima in May 1905. Russia lost over 5,000 men and a significant portion of its navy in that battle, a loss that some historians argue upset the balance of power in Europe, contributing to the outbreak of World War I in 1914. The Dogger Bank incident is a poignant reminder that mistakes, big and small, can have dire consequences. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of paranoia, poor training, and communication failures. While it did not lead to immediate war, it highlighted the fragile nature of international relations and the potential for small incidents to escalate into larger conflicts. The incident also underscores the importance of clear communication and thorough verification in the face of perceived threats. In the end, the Dogger Bank incident remains a somber chapter in the annals of naval history, a reminder that even in the fog of war, the cost of mistakes can be devastating. What do you think could have prevented the Dogger Bank incident? Share your thoughts in the comments below and join us on this journey through history by liking and subscribing to our channel for more immersive and thought-provoking content.